Alright.
The smuggler was true to his word. So with the Fulcrum Star within his grasp, and without even stopping at a pub,
Bummer.
our hero sailed off into the night.
He's no pirate
His
at all.
destination? Adventure!
Jeez, laying it on a bit thick, eh, Pete?
What's with this
You
pausing
sure you
and
wanna
then
go in
going,
there for
ah?
These ears have heard some mighty disturbing stories about this old island.
That star is my only hope of finding Clank. I'm not leaving Murder Ground.
Cutscene cut off a bit early there.
Okay, I guess we'll never know what he's looking
Alright,
for.
but I couldn't let my
Someone
favorite
named
customer go without a little extra
Again,
firepower. Why
you
don't
know,
you take these weapons?
I
just
don't
found
want to
them floating
have
out
to
near Hoolefar
culminate
Island.
with having to say that quest for booty is, well, booty, but holy cow, that was kind of lazy.
Which
after the
actually I
cutscene
haven't
cut off.
mentioned. In my country, the title is technically translated, but it kind of loses the double entendre pun. It's just called In Search for the Treasure.
Also, why is this game called Ratchet and Clank Quest for Booty?
Yeah, I
Shouldn't it be
mentioned that in the
Ratchet?
first part. Like I said, out of all of the games where the duo is separated, this is the one biggest advocate where it just should be called Ratchet.
Like, shoot, Deadlocked had more business being called Ratchet
Again,
and Clank, and
Clank was not playable, but it was part of the story. He talked to you very regularly. Alright, let's see what we can say to this guy. The Dread Pirate Ratchet, like in, you know,
That ain't no pirate
in the
either.
first game, previous
Be
game.
gone, or find your soul plucked from your bones for all eternity.
you're just a door. You can't do squat against me.
Darkwater?
Is it possible? You don't look.
Oh yeah, I
like
never
you.
said the Japanese name for
It's
this
been a
game yet,
long
have I?
time, and mine eyes aren't what they once were. If you really are Darkwater, prove yourself and fight like him.
Alright, that
Okay.
means having another combat round with the slugs recycled from Sargasso.
Surprised they didn't do another a dance battle, but okay.
Translated, this game in Japan is called Ratchet and Clank Future Gaiden Treasure of Pirate Darkwater.
I mean, fair enough, okay. It is still the presence of Clank in the title, but otherwise everything checks. It's a Gaiden title, through and through, believe it or not. And In Search of the Treasure of Captain Darkwater, yeah, it's technically correct. So, sure, he loses the double entendre, but I can live with that.
Great. I was just
Yeah,
thinking I could do with
I'm
more
not going to
booty
say
traps.
it's Romanized Japanese name because, well, I can't do it.
Darkwater must have had a way across the lagoon. Come on, we gotta check out the island.
Alright, so basically this island consists of a set of pirate-themed challenges that should allow us not only to potentially find the Fulcrum Star, but also find, as I mentioned, the way to defeat the Slag/Darkwater Gestalt. Yeah, let's put some light on. I also love that, there you go, when it comes to these creatures, when Ratchet has to put them down, he does very gently with the Omni Wrench. That's pretty cute. Well, it sure makes you waste a bit of time by having to go to each one. It really feels something that should have been built for co-op. One player controlling one platform and the other, you know, the other one. Then again, I don't think Talwyn actually has a CQC weapon. She just has her own blaster, so... The bat-like creatures were present since the previous part at the very least. Again, the entire gimmick is that if you possess the light source with the little guy, you'll be able to actually thwart them away, otherwise they'll continuously attack you. Alright, it's time for a classic mix and match liquid inside a container, although in this case it's to create the perfect grog.
Hey! This facility is reserved for Captain Darkwater.
Okay.
Or me, Darkwater. Fix me a drink, and ye may pass.
Also, there you go. That is, if you see the cables, this guy is just, you know, connected to all the containers. That's his job, unfortunately.
Wow. Imagine that being your life's purpose, and you can never
Very
leave the
specific.
bar. So, given that Tachyon built the pirates, does this mean he specifically made one just to serve alcohol?
I wouldn't be too surprised. Alright, let's see.
You know, maybe this was the reality. Tachyon just had a drinking problem, but it was too late to save himself from it. And now he's dead, or trapped in a fate worse than death.
Slightly bitter aftertaste. Proper amount of snogs, Trout. A fine point indeed. Well done. All right, here's your next drink. A dash of a cyclone, a drop of hot fire. A wee bit of bubbly makes an honest man a liar.
I was looking up the actors in this series, and apparently for some reason, Talwyn gets a different actress in
she gets
after the
Holly.
Future trilogy.
She gets Holly replaced by Holly Eels. I don't know what was Tara Strong doing. I don't think it was a union thing, but it just happened.
Proper brain cell to grog cell ratio. You did it again,
Weird to
sir.
replace Tara
He
Strong.
may
Typically,
be
Tara
Darkwater
Strong's who you would
after
get to
all.
replace someone.
Not just that, Holly Eel sounds a
Here's
bit
your
different
last
as you'll be able to hear. You would think they would
A
just get
bench of
Jennifer
lovers
Hale,
breed,
since,
a
you know, she's the
dash of
go-to
winter's
for these kind of things,
Top it
but
off
no.
with golden sun and bid thee
Jennifer
fair
Hale
good
trying to
morrow.
do a Tara Strong sound alike.
Well,
Don't think
they
I've ever
still
seen
got
that
her eventually
before.
to play Rivet in Rift Apart, so...
Yeah, I'm just trying to imagine Jennifer Hale trying to do a Tara Strong impression. That's
It's kind of funny. You would think that they would get the big celebrity to voice the new main character they wanted to shield, you know, Rivet, but instead, the closest we got was instead Deborah Wilson for her Clank equivalent for that.
Yeah, that's what the movie's for.
Yeah.
Allow me to fetch you the steps.
you know, the sad thing is,
Don't worry,
The new
we're like
actors
4 or 5 games till that.
I'll just say the sad thing is the new actors were like the least of that movie's problems is the bad thing.
I agree partially, Jovan, but there's still the kind of sour taste that for a 2016 movie, they technically speaking whitewashed the character by having Kevin Michael Richardson being replaced by Paul Giamatti for Chairman Drake.
Yeah, that was... okay. I want to be fair that, yeah, we see a lot of cases where, hey, a black guy can play a white person, vice versa here and there. A lot of that tends to fly a lot more with voice acting. Mind you, there has been more of an effort to let minorities get to voice their own, minority-coded characters, like we see Cleveland in Family Guy now being played by a black guy who still does the voice pretty well. I'm not saying it always has to be this or that, because, hey, thanks to stuff like that, we did get the amazing voice work of Kingpin in the Spider-Man animated series by Roscoe Lee Brown, which I believe even netted an Emmy.
It is still fitting with the, as mentioned, I forgot who did mention it, but it still was fitting the character because originally Kingpin was supposed to be actually African-American in terms of appearance.
So that's why Michael Clark didn't come out
it
to
was
play
one of the
him.
reasons why they actually chose Michael. And to be fair, I was going to save that for the Daredevil commentary, but any complaints that might just be snuffed by the fact that Michael Clark Duncan could literally crack my bone just by looking at me, so I'd rather just shut up.
Well, it was the best part of Daredevil.
Him and the guy who played Bullseye. Holy cow, they were having fun.
Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell, yeah. Extremely Irish.
Imagine.
Oh, Farrell is Irish. So.
Yeah.
Imagine an MCU where Colin Farrell had been the definitive Bullseye.
Jesus.
Anyway, Pirate Pipe Organ.
Basically, Simon says with sound. Alright, let's go.
Well done! But that just be the first part. Here be the next.
Alright.
Again, you know how these things work with escalation.
Yeah, I do fine with these things at first, but then I just kind of slip.
God damn it. This is why not having Clank is also a bit of a problem. I need to remember that I don't have as many mobility options.
Splendid! Splendid! A fine tune that was. I danced the jig, but someone took me legs.
Okay, so that implies that all the doors we've been dealing with used to be full-bodied, but were
I mean, it kind of
scrapped
will
to
fit
make
with
doors.
the whole pirate thing. You know, if you cross the captain, you get punished like that. Part of the ship. Part of the
you know
crew.
what? That is actually pretty cool, especially since it works with them being robot pirates.
Aye, it is you, Captain. No one tickles the ivories like
could
you,
have
sir.
worded
'Tis
better.
true. Here be the steps you require. Pass and be merry.
Which leads us to Robot Skull Mountain, by the looks of it.
Basically, again, we just need to have all of the platforms being raised properly. So let's go. Ow.
It was nice of the pirates to leave us these grind rails, though. Good to know that Darkwater loved himself some soapboxing shoes.
Yeah, I guess the idea is that they thought that, you know, during his proper robot youth, Darkwater was able to grind.
That would be so funny.
I mean, there is the eternal question of, you know, the gadgets and weapons that Ratchet is using must be something that, you know, the rest of the galaxy used it to some degree.
You know, one of these days, if I am ever able to become a game dev, one idea I'm gonna pitch is just a game where you play as the guy who actually has to set up levels like these, just to explain why things are the way they are in some levels.
So, something... okay. Honestly, Jova, there are still quite a lot of games like this, like the evil, create your own evil layer. For example, be the bad guy and create, you know, your evil layer. I forgot the name of the game.
I think, oh god, I feel like it was some Villain's Lair title. I can't.
It got a sequel recently. There was also the spin-off of the Crystal Chronicles series for Final Fantasy, My Life as a King / My Life as a Dark Lord, which kind of did that, the same thing. So
shadow work here.
Basically. It's cute. 10 out of 10.
Building tension, building tension, building tension. Correct.
Just a minute there, Captain Darkwater. Perhaps you'd be so kind as to prove yourself by demonstrating.
Look, I proved with the first guy this kind of thing. Can you just, you know, not repeat it?
I mean, if I were a vicious pirate captain, I'd know a way to get through the password thing. Let's be through right now, or I will tear your wires apart.
Given that that's apparently Darkwater himself, methinks it's a trap. Unless that door just decided to sound like him at the last minute.
Well, I don't know. I think these so far this excursion has been doing fine. So.
Oh yeah. Like I'd say, of the levels, this feels overall the most varied, but well-paced overall.
I didn't talk much also about the arsenal outside of the fact that you can level it up easily. It's basically all stuff that was in Tools of Destruction, except not even the complete package. Like again, you get the tornado launcher, the whip, the combustor, the grenade launcher. You don't get the morphing weapon, if I recall correctly. Which is kind of a crying shame. I will also say that at the very least they tried to give a bit of variety with the enemy designs, you know, instead of recycling only the enemies from Tools of Destruction. They managed to make sure to have, sure, the pirates, a lot of the amazing grunts are the pirate model from the first game, just with a claw on it, but they bothered to have a couple of different ones, like the shamans, which have a body similar to the one of Rusty Pete, but a different head type, the small guys, and then we'll get also a couple of big guys.
For you.
Yes, of course.
You know, also, since we were talking about some plot inconsistencies, I get that Rusty Pete did more in Captain Slag at first, but didn't he then basically toss his head aside and then declare Ratchet the new leader? So
I blame
why all of
the
a sudden
drug
are they making?
intoxication. I don't know.
You know what? Fair enough. Given how drunk he is, we could maybe blame it on that. But all the same, it really does make it feel like this is a bit of an excuse plot, unless it turns out that Captain Slag also shows up in Kraken Time. Again, my memory is very
part
fuzzy.
of Rusty Pete's, podcast radio show. Basically, they receive questions from the fans and answer live on radio. In fact, one of the few things that, even a few mentions of Talwyn that she sends, a trolling letter to them.
To get revenge for their misdeeds. Well done, Talwyn. You're sure to be a mainstay.
There it is.
Oh, there is plenty of treasure, but you
Star.
need that, the Fulcrum Star. Ratchet, for fuck's sake.
You literally could have walked around the metal platform.
A fair good tomorrow, young lumbax.
And of course, we need to have Talwyn being captured. Again, to be fair, this was still mid-2000s, so I guess it was supposed to be expected, but she wasn't. She didn't resort to do that in the previous game.
Also, I'm sorry, she got captured by Rusty Pete that easily? How even?
Off screen because
Well, not even off screen technically, just here, right here, right now, But you get what I mean. It's still, not a good look.
Like, I mean,
this was 2008, wasn't it?
You think so? Yes, 2007 or 8. I forgot the specific year.
okay, so
Basically, we're back in the underground caves, just in this specific island version, which means recycling a bit, of level design and everything.
Yeah, 2008.
any reason you asked the date, Dwibs?
I was just wondering because that whole spiel about the only female main character gets kidnapped spiel, that was outdated 10 years before 2008.
Like, look, the female character being kidnapped is one thing. Like, look, if you make a female character who's at least compelling and capable, it's fine if she gets kidnapped. In fact, it shouldn't matter the gender of a character that gets kidnapped here or there. Yes, I do get that there are stipulations, and we were trying to stave off the damsel in distress thing, but that doesn't mean we had to do it away entirely, especially since, well, the opposite extreme occurred in, the mid to late 2010s, and, well, we all know how that went. That being said, though, the frustrating thing with Talwyn here is, it feels like she's only really not as capable because the game demands that she not
much.
be.
This is basically
The game said so.
Basically, this is an out-of-universe problem instead of an
Let me put it like
one.
this. If the game had more budget, she would probably be a co-op player or someone who you would occasionally play as. But since this is very much a budget title, all she can do is follow along, which, is fine, at least showing that she's there, but she really doesn't get to do much, and I'm like, even if the computer's controlling her, let her fight alongside us more, but no, because they can't afford to, because again, budget title, she can only do so much following along, and then they have to come up with reasons for her not to be with us for levels. God, I was not expecting Quest for Booty to be quite possibly the most critical I've been on the franchise, but at times it does feel a bit cash grabbish. And again, maybe it was mandated that they had to do this quick little title. It's just, again, even with Secret Agent Clank, which, yes, that was a different team, but even Secret Agent Clank, I at least did feel like there was passion and thought for, the idea of Agent Clank put into it. Obviously not the best spot for how it would, slot into the main continuity and whatnot, but at the very least it felt passionate. I'll admit, at times, this does feel like, again, it was made to fill out a mandate or get a quick buck, essentially. And mind you, there is a time and place for games like that. Smaller scale games, a little more bite-sized here and there, but
again,
I don't know.
The end of 80s and the entirety of the 90s did have something like this going on with expansions for first-person shooter. And as I mentioned, I do have genuine belief that Insomniac has always been huge fans of id Software, or at the very least, if not other companies like, say, 3D Realms or actually, Apogee, because this screams to me stuff like, the old expansions for games like Doom, Duke Nukem 3D, or Blood, for example, which were technically more bite-sized. The only major thing in difference that I argue is the difficulty, because this doesn't feel as difficult as the Tools of Destruction. If anything, even in medium difficulty, as you can see that I'm playing, is relatively more easy to handle, But in comparison, the expansion of old FPSs had a tendency of expecting you to have played the original game and be very good at it, so basically they could prepare you for those expansions. Most infamously, the Plutonian Experiment for Doom 2. So basically, I get that maybe they wanted to try to do something similar to that, just instead of, again, being a DLC episode or super directly attached to Tools of Destruction. We just have it be its own standalone game, but the spirit is basically that. I don't know, man.
The reason I'm more skeptical about this game is, like you've mentioned, this was made in, the late 2000s, where companies like Sony and Microsoft were getting infamous for overcharging for little titles, essentially. Again, I get that it was only $14.99, but shoot, now I'm beginning to wonder if maybe that might have been a bit much for a game this short and so obviously budgeted, maybe $10 max. Again, different strokes for different folks, and like you mentioned, it's possible to get this game technically for free, but I do wonder if that was something they added on because somebody went, this might not even be worth the $15.
You could get this game for free after that massive PlayStation Network downloads.
Hacking.
Yeah.
Was that part of the compensation?
No, but I just think, remember, the games they were offered were the first Uncharted, the first Infamous, Dead Nation, the first Little Big Planet, and I think Fat Princess. This one was this was a thing that just, was put on its own and was, and you could get it for free on your own.
Okay.
And like I said, I distinctly remember that I did got it as a bundle with another Game of the Future saga. I forgot which specific one, if it was Into the Nexus or A Crack in Time.
So I guess my critiques mainly hail from the fact that when this first came out, money was charged for it. Now mind you, I'm not gonna act like $15 was the worst price to give it, but I don't know, it really does not feel like Insomniac run their A game with this. Again, that's not to say that every Ratchet and Clank game has been gold, but this one really has that feeling of, do we have to? And again, maybe that was more so because it was budgeted so they couldn't do everything they wanted to with it, but it just feels weird for an Insomniac title to feel kinda half-baked.
Or at the very least, they probably wanted to test the formula and see what they could do with the new engine that they had, even on a limited occasion. On these days, this probably would have been, again, outside of a DLC episode, possibly a free update, and an experimentation thing, similar to how, again, if you haven't played it or don't know much about it, the Valhalla update for God of War Ragnarok essentially turns that gameplay system into a roguelike, believe it or not. Yeah, I know, you might be thinking, how the fuck did they do that? But that was basically Santa Monica experimenting with what they had, and just for funsies, they even attached a plot to that. So that's probably what would happen if this game was released today in this particular state. That would justify much more different things, like as an actual epilogue to Tools of Destruction, because yes, at the very end of this game we will get basically a giant teaser towards a crack in time.
Again, my big fear is that this was made as the in-between game because, you know, they wanted to have it in case, you know, somebody didn't have access to Secret Agent Clank so that they
and
could
also
say,
to give
oh, don't worry.
For the mainline titles to release to the fans, you know, for the PS3 around that time.
I do notice that some series have a bad habit of feeling the need to release something each year, which isn't always the worst, but sometimes it does lead to some weird installments here and there.
Also, I think that they'd only partially mentioned in at the end of Tools of Destruction, but I might as well use this time to elaborate. Do you know the fact that Emperor Tachyon survives his final boss encounter? Sure, it looks like he gets shredded inside another portal of the Dimensionator, but no, he's fine. How do we know that? Because at the end of the comic, you know, miniseries, we get to see the villain of that miniseries getting sucked into another, you know, portal and so forth. The shenanigans of that happened in that miniseries, and he ends up having to share the same asteroid that Tachyon ended up with in. That's it.
You've been far too meddlesome to be left breathing the captain's air, me hearty. Any final words before I nail your carcass to the pike?
Yeah, could you turn up the lighting so I can actually see you proper?
Suppose a bribe is out of the question.
Can you pay your electric bill?
A bribe? I wouldn't trade the opportunity to skin your
I mean, to be
scurvy
fair,
carcass
he's
for
a
all the
pirate,
glory
he
in the
was worth a
galaxy.
shot.
Let's dance!
Oh well.
Well, then let's just fight mano-a-mano like gentlemen.
Actually, more like guns. Lots of guns.
Yeah, I was good. Isn't he going to cheat? Because pirates.
No. Some gentlemen's duels didn't. Oh,
Yeah, he does have a
popped in and
cannon.
out for some reason. But yes, now some gentlemen's duels did involve guns and 10 paces.
Yeah, especially the ones that were concealed inside these leaves.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure some of them had some really wily person either just sabotage the other gun by either just emptying it completely or putting in a blank so the other guy would have no chance of it.
Okay, not that cartoonishly, but it wouldn't be too uncommon to have the match being rigged beforehand by bribing the person who gave the gun.
Well, hell, pull a ballistic X versus Sever and have the gun shoot backwards.
I tried to forget that happened in that movie. God.
It still boggles my mind that they made a movie with Antonio Banderas and Lucy Liu at their prime somehow be that boring and bad.
Alright, unfortunately we need the smuggler to get back to Hoolefar Island.
So basically this was a game of Ring Around the Rosie since we're once again going back
Basically,
to Hoolefar Island.
There are weapons for sale. Might as well. I mean, if you're gonna ask me money, might as well use that for something.
Interested?
50,000 goals!
It is ranked number
Holy
3.
Christ! Okay, I have to wonder, are we your only customer who puts up with this?
Oh, to be fair, it is the Alpha Cannon. If you forgot that this is the closest to a BFG, but it's not the Rhino from Tools of Destruction.
Alright, so now that Ratchet is bankrupt, join us in the next part where Ratchet becomes just a beggar really desperate for money.
See you for the epic conclusion, citation needed.
See ya.
That's